Well, there's a few words that perhaps sum up 2022. Interesting, certainly challenging, as always, rewarding, and most importantly, it's been fun. It's not been without its challenges. Of course, there's been a lot of political turbulence of late, and the economic landscape has changed dramatically. For example, in the leisure industry, our food service clients are still recovering from COVID. They took a big hit there, and now they're faced with increased operating costs and of course the cost of living. So not only is it more expensive to produce the pie and the pint, but those people who would buy it just don't have the disposable income. Supply chain issues as well for new equipment has meant that new equipment isn't always available, which has been good because it's driven second-hand equipment, which is also good because it's both cost effective and, our ever important message, it's more sustainable to buy a second-hand piece of kit than a new one. So in terms of key achievements, there are three that really spring out to me. First one of these is National Highways. We won a contract with National Highways to undertake the disposal of their winter fleet, so snowplows and gritters and traffic officer vehicles. And it's been quite strange seeing a snowplough in Skegness in the middle of summer. The second one is perhaps Dounreay on the north coast of Scotland. We started just as a trial project, but that's developed into a long-term partnership now, and getting equipment away from a nuclear licensed site always has its own challenges. So this year we've worked with 139 new clients, which has been a great team effort, and we've rehomed around 27,000 items at auction. So that's about 10% up on last year. But bear in mind that 27,000 items can be a single item such as a fridge freezer, or 50 pallets of soap, or a fire engine. So it's really, really varied. So doing the right thing and measuring our own carbon footprint is really important. What's perhaps more important is to have a robust measure in place, something that you can measure against. So what we do is measure the tons of CO2 produced as against the £1 million of turnover, and we're aiming to reduce this by about 10% next year. I think just as importantly, and I'm going to sound like a bit of a champion for the social value portal, who we joined with this year, and they have an awful lot more sustainability themes. So for example, jobs, it's about developing skills, upskilling, re-rolling. We've added 7 new members of staff this year. Another theme is growth, supporting local SMEs. Again, for example, we have used a local valeter to delivery the National Highways vehicles. The other theme is social value, so health and wellness, and charitable donations. We've donated about £5,000 to various charities throughout the year. And the last theme is, of course, the environmental matter, which is where the carbon footprint comes into play. So yes, some of the biggest challenges, well, general challenges like catering equipment from the 7th floor of a London office building, or machine tools from a nuclear licensed site, become almost commonplace. We're doing those fairly regularly. A couple of interesting ones. There was an aircraft fuselage in a hangar on an active airbase, and that required some really good communications, understanding the risks involved, and having a fantastic subcontractor to actually undertake the demolition work. So this year we've had a booming second-hand market. It's about a 25% increase in the number of auctions that we've undertaken, and the data that we have from surveys undertaken show that electrical goods are the most sought after. Another highlight's been the investment we've made in new stock control technology, which has meant we've employed more people. We've got 7 new members of staff this year. Of course, it's Ramco's 26th anniversary. We've been at it since 1996. And it's always nice to win an award. We won the Sustainable Supplier award, Footprint Award, which is a food service industry recognition. We've also supported our clients at network events and attended things like the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority's event. Paul in our BD team has been a keen panellist where required, and just simply getting out there and going to exhibitions, meeting people in the key sectors that we operate in, so emergency services show, the hotel and restaurant and catering show. It's just been great to be actually out there again, meeting people, pressing the flesh and explaining who we are and what we do. So most interesting asset, a couple spring to mind. One just recently has been two Hawk aircraft airframes that were recently sold. They were quite interesting. But I think probably top award has to go to a couple of offshore patrol vessels that we have. They're 16 metres long, they weigh about 25 tonnes and do 32 knots, and they're actually still available, so that's perhaps why they're most interesting. 2023, generally helping more businesses in what we do. Our mission has always been to find new homes for surplus assets that businesses no longer need. We did some really good data collecting and surveyed organisations in the UK, and 7 out of 10 organisations said that they still had equipment sitting idle somewhere. And indeed, there was £59 billion worth of unwanted assets spread across UK organisations, which if you average it out, that's about 10 grand per UK organisation of stuff sat there waiting to be sold. I'm also looking forward to perhaps further investment in our Croft facility. We refurbished a workshop this year, installed a photography booth and some equipment that allows us to prepare vehicles from not just national highways, but any vehicles we receive for subsequent sale. And there are some MOD projects which are exciting, but I can't tell you about those. I shall have to leave you hanging. But just generally seeing the team and the business grow next year will be good for me.